I mean, I knew right away when she walked in. There was no eye contact. And she began by showing me a piece of paper, and it was for baby B. And it's strange where your mind goes and how you process things, but I immediately thought, oh, it is baby A, because A comes before B in the alphabet. Why would she start with B? And they show you on a bar graph what the possible risk is for that baby having Down syndrome, and it was low. It was within the threshold of, very little risk. And then I knew. I was bracing myself. It was like bracing yourself for a tsunami. I saw it coming. She turned the page, and she didn't have to say anything. I saw the bar graph. It was almost off the end of the page. And I still don't even remember what the number was, because at that moment everything just stopped. My world came to a complete stop. But I do remember her saying very clearly, this baby has a 50-50% chance of having Down syndrome. And given the thickness of the neck fold, it's very likely that it will.
This was baby A.
Yeah. And it was a punch in the gut. It was like getting punched in the gut.
What did she recommend? Did she say what your options were?
Again, this is all within the first few minutes of being told this. So I'm just flooded with this. I'm literally feeling paralyzed with worry and fear and concern. And within that time frame, because I began to cry, but quietly. And she said, you're early enough along in your pregnancy that you can terminate. In our case, since it's twins, the term she used was selective reduction. And that was like the second punch to the gut for me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. For us, we weren't there to find out because we would terminate if we got a positive result. We were there to get information. And I could barely find the words, but I remember holding up my hand and saying, please stop. We don't believe in that, and it's not an option for us. At that moment, things got even, in my opinion, things got even worse. In that after telling her that we would not terminate, nothing else was discussed. And there are other options. You can keep the baby, and I didn't even know this until recently, put it up for adoption. There's a waiting list of parents who want to adopt children with Down syndrome. I didn't know that. Or the third choice, obviously, is termination for those couples who choose it. But none of that was discussed. And to make matters worse, I had admitted that we were, against that. We wanted to keep the baby. No information, no resources, no help, no advice, no support, nothing. We left that day from that office. They gave Jim a business card for us to call a genetic counselor if we chose to, and they let us out a side door.
Some doctors might say there's no easy way to break this kind of news to parents.
I would agree.
Having said that, what do you wish you had heard that day?
Oh, gosh.
Well, I think for me, that there was more of a positive approach and not the awkward silence that followed the diagnosis. And that there is, life is not over, kind of thing, and that, your baby can grow up to do some amazing things, and, selective reduction is not the only option. And you should, if you choose to celebrate that, then that's what you should concern yourself with and focus on. And then also, other types of support groups and information would have, I think, really kind of cushioned the blow, so to speak.
But you were left on your own, pretty much.
Yeah, and that was kind of disheartening in a way.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how awful it felt to feel like we weren't accepted for having made that choice. and that they didn't know what to do with us. We want so badly for that to change. I wish, I so hope that there is change and that medical professionals will, here the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology comes out with this January 2007 guideline that all women, no matter what age, recommended that you have this test. Well, they come out with these guidelines, and yet they don't, there's no protocol, there's no guidelines for how doctors should react. There's no help for them of how they could deliver a diagnosis like this. I don't necessarily blame the doctors. I think I blame this rush to have, in the medical science community, better, faster, quicker. And yet they're completely forgetting that on the other side of that very sensitive diagnosis, there are people, and it's going to hurt them. And I think they're ill-equipped to deal with that. We've rushed ahead with so many things. Now at between 9 and 12 weeks we can tell people this. And I think the effects are devastating.